listening to Speaking with One Voice with Rodney Payne. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, topics you'd like discussed on the show, or if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at rpayne@onevoiceinc.org. That's rpayne@onevoiceinc.org. You can also search for us on Acast, Google Play, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Just look for Speaking with One Voice. Now, here's your host.
Hello, and welcome to Speaking with One Voice. I am your host, the coach, Rodney Payne. I am so excited to be with you once again as we continue on your individual or team leadership journey. Listen, I'm wearing a shirt today I wanted to share with you really quickly. It comes from my mentor, John Maxwell, and it says this: everyone deserves to be led well. And that's why we are here on Speaking with One Voice, to equip leaders to lead well so that everyone can be led well. As always, thank you for being a part of our community. Thank you for listening to, liking, and rating our podcast here on all the various platforms. I want you to make sure that you're following us on all of those platforms, including our YouTube channel at Rodney R. Payne. Now, listen, you've done a great job. I need you to continue to subscribe as we increase our footprint in this digital space. I need you to subscribe, turn your notifications on so that you're aware of when new episodes are dropping. And we're going to keep new content coming each and every month so that you or your leadership team can take full advantage of these opportunities. Before we get started, I'd like to just talk to you about a special I'm trying to offer you at this point. And really what we're doing is, for our leadership teams, we're working with some special strategic planning content. And I want you, if you're interested in that content, I'd love to talk to you about it. Simply DM me strategy in the comments, DM me strategy so that we can get with you and talk to you about how we can help you and your leadership team grow. Strategy is so important, and we have got a proven method that will take your team from where you are to where you want to be. Now, let's hop into this week's topic. This week, I want to talk about emotional intelligence, the leadership advantage. Emotional intelligence, the leadership advantage. So when we think about emotional intelligence, or EQ as it's often known as, it's important that we understand this critical component to effective leadership. So I want to dig into this and kind of take a little deep dive and really look at how does this work. In order for us to talk about how it works, we really need to understand really what is it. Emotional intelligence, or EI as some refer to it, EQ, emotional quotient, is another expression or iteration. When we talk about emotional intelligence, what we're talking about is it comprises four key components that we need to understand to really, really grow our leadership to the next level. First, there is self-awareness. You cannot have emotional intelligence if you're not aware of yourself. You have to understand how you're wired, in what environments do you work best, what things challenge you, what are your strengths, what are your opportunities to grow, what are your opportunities to add somebody to you because you're just not going to get there. Awareness is critical. And so one of the things that we use here at One Voice Leadership is we use a tool. It's called the Maxwell method of DISC, right? So what we do is we take this DISC assessment. It's based on leadership, and it helps an individual to become self-aware. Why do I need to be self-aware? Because quite frankly, friends, it's not your team's job to learn your temperature and try to respond to you in the right way. It's your job to regulate through self-awareness. And so not only is EI self-awareness, it's self-regulation. You have to understand who you are, and you need to be the thermostat, not the thermometer, right? You need to learn how to set your own temperature, and you really can't do that when you're not aware of who you are. There are things about me that I just know that are a challenge for me. And I did not begin to really experience exponential growth as a leader until I was first aware and then began to regulate. I had to begin to regulate. I had to figure out, where do I do this and how is this harmful to my conversations and to my end state goals? So self-regulation was really critical in my development. Then there are social skills. You have to know how to interact socially and understand that you may not be everyone's cup of tea. Everyone may not appreciate your dry sense of humor, your off-candor comedy. You've got to know who you are from a social perspective. And then lastly, in EI, you have to have empathy. Empathy. This is so important because what does John Maxwell teach us? That he's made this quote famous. People do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. So these four components, we're going to talk about them in depth today. They're vital for leaders to navigate complex interpersonal dynamics that go with leadership. So today, emotional intelligence is the leadership advantage, and I want you to separate yourself, distance yourself as a leader. An emotionally intelligent leader is a transformational leader. So now, let's talk about what role does self-awareness play? Well, self-awareness in leadership, it says that leaders, we have to understand, when leaders are willing to practice self-awareness, they are often more capable of managing their emotions. If I understand what takes me there and what gets me excited, what gets me depressed, whatever moves me, I have to understand there are times in my work week when I will say, now is not a good time for me to be public facing. Let me tell you, I've got a good friend of mine who's very close to me, and we've spent decades knowing each other. And he can look at my face, and when he sees me, what he'll tell me is he'll say, okay, Rodney, get yourself together. When he says get yourself together, what he's saying is he can see my emotions without my words. He can look at my body language and he sees who I am and understands the challenge that I'm experiencing, right? So he tells me to get myself together. So that helps me. And now when I know that on my own without him there, I still have to take time to, you guessed it, to get myself together. Leading to improved teams, we require this dynamic of emotional intelligence and self-awareness because it helps us to reduce stress. When I am aware, it reduces stress. There are times when I know now is the best time in the day. Now, right now, at this moment, is the best time to go on Do Not Disturb. Come on, somebody. There are times when, you know what? Now is not the best time to respond to that email. Now is not the best time to type up a response because you may have a response that garners some emotion from you and some passion from you. And if you respond too quickly, if you're not self-aware, you're going to put yourself in a position to cause harm and you know the rule, right? You can't unring the bell. Once you say the words, you can't take them back. Once you hit send, there's a very micro window where your undo might work, but in most cases, once it's gone, and you can't get it back. How many times have you wanted to get some words back? See, a self-aware leader is a leader that's going to show emotional intelligence and going to have better success in communication. All right. So now let's talk a little bit more about this, not just the self-awareness and how that works in leadership, but one of the other four things that we talked about was empathy. So let's couple empathy with decision making in leadership. See, an empathetic leader is, according to statistics, is 60% more effective in motivating their teams, which significantly enhances overall employee satisfaction. That came from the Harvard Business Review. So listen to what they say in the Harvard Business Review. They say empathetic leaders, they are better at motivating their teams. So it made me have to break that down a bit. So as I pondered this particular statistic, because everyone would like 60% more success, right? What makes an empathetic leader more successful in motivation? Because your team knows you care. You understand the pulse of your team, the heartbeat of your team, what your team is going through, as at a team level and at the individual level. When you have a leader who's going through a challenging time at this present moment, now is not the time to put pressure on them. An empathetic leader understands that. And as a result, your employees become more satisfied in their work environment because you have been good to them and understanding who they are and what they're going through. That's why it matters. Not everything is a kumbaya moment, but also not everything is a high impact productivity moment. There are times when we need to just slow down and give room for our humanness to deal with life as it comes. And when we do that, our team members will work harder. They'll be more diligent. They'll be more committed. They'll be more connected. They'll be owners and not renters. That's what this statistic showed me, and really looking at the motivation component of it, because it motivates. And the other part, don't miss this, is it improves employee satisfaction. When I know that I'm more than just a production agent to my company, when I know I'm more than just numbers or a quota or a goal, but I know that I am a human, it makes a difference to me. And when I know that, I know I'm valued, that creates satisfaction for me. When I'm satisfied, I'm an owner. And when I'm an owner, guess what? I work more diligently and I take it more personal. My goodness, I am loving this topic today. You are listening to Speaking with One Voice with your host, the coach, Rodney Payne, right here. We are adding value to you and your team each and every week. I want you to focus on emotional intelligence as the leadership advantage. We're looking at it from 4 overall perspectives today, but we're digging down into a few of them a little bit differently. So self-awareness, self-regulation, social skills, and empathy. Let's keep going. Let's talk about EI and leadership, emotional intelligence and leadership. I want to look at some statistics here of how EI, which is emotional intelligence, and leadership being effective, how do they connect? Well, according to the Consortium for Research on Emotional Intelligence in Organizations, 90% of top performers have high emotional intelligence. Wait a minute. Now we're looking at those who produce the top 90%. The top 90%. That means there's that when we look at top performers, 90% of those top performers are going to be ones who are possessors of emotional intelligence. Why is that? Well, when you are emotionally intelligent, your communication is simply better. You communicate at a more effective level. You understand that your emotions can either come into a team and fire them up, or intimidate them or turn them off. One of the things in dealing with this, I told you I'm an avid user of DISC, the Maxwell method of DISC, to help individuals. And I've done many trainings with teams. And for so long, because DISC has been around since the 1920s, but the challenge is people have taken this assessment based upon a requirement of an employer. And when you do that, you do what you're told to do. You take a couple of nuggets away and you move on from it. Well, I train it a bit differently, where we're going to engross ourselves. So you can't be defined by one letter. As a matter of fact, when we look at the DISC model, there's the dominant, the inspirational, right? The influential, the I, then the S. That's the steady one. The C's are the compliant ones. But rarely does one letter fully capture who you are. So let's look at the ebbs and flows of this, because it's important for us to understand where emotional intelligence comes from and how to help us with self-awareness. So when we dig down deep into the DISC, it shows the propensity for you to be under a certain type or style, or a combination of styles, that really puts you in a position to understand how you operate and what influences you have. Because most of us, or all of us, have some form of a D, an I, an S, or a C. It may be very low or it may be very high. When we understand that, now it helps us do 2 things. One is it exposes my blind spots. It helps me to see about myself what others see by viewing me. I can't see them because they're blind spots. That's why they're called blind spots. Well, when they are revealed to me, now I can address my blind spots. See, emotionally intelligent leaders understand their blind spots and they're willing to address them. That's very critical as you look to be an emotionally intelligent leader and to be 90% more effective than all other leaders, right? Well, it's not just me understanding myself, but when I learn the other styles and I'm able to identify who they are on my team, I can also learn how to best approach them in communication. That is using emotional intelligence. Because if I am offensive or abrasive and I am talking to someone who is a dominant S or a steady person, I'm going to scare them. they're going to not want to deal with me. They're very slow to change, so they're resistant. They don't like being talked to negatively, and these are things that matter. So when I take the time to become an emotionally intelligent leader, I can also repackage how I communicate. My goodness, I'm having so much fun with this. I want you to understand that as a leader, if you want to be a high performer, you have to be emotionally intelligent. That means being aware of yourself, regulating yourself, but also being aware of who you're talking to. That is so significant when you learn how to talk to a person. Listen, don't get offended if you're talking to a C and they ask you more questions. Part of their makeup is they want information. They don't need inspiration. They want information. Where if you're talking to an I, they may prefer inspiration over information. Well, if you're talking to a D, they may just want the bottom line. What are the results? So when a leader understands how they perform themselves and how others around them perform, guess what? The change becomes overwhelmingly successful in the business because you are an emotionally intelligent leader. Now, let's talk about some strategies, right? At the end of the day, we have to get better. I've told you that DISC is a great tool. And if you would like information about that, be sure and DM us here at Speaking with One Voice, One Voice Leadership. We'd be happy to get with you. We have programs for individuals as well as teams. But the goal here is when you think about strategies to enhance your emotional intelligence, what are they? I've given them to you, but I'm going to add to that list. The number one, if you're going to be, we talk about being aware, right? We talk about awareness, but what that requires is regular self-reflection. You must press pause and reflect. Now, here is the problem with reflecting. Most of us are extreme. We either reflect on all of our successes or we reflect on all of our failures. I want what I'm going to call transparent reflection. I want you to be completely honest with yourself. Look at the good, the bad, the ugly. Celebrate all victories, not just the small ones or the big ones, all of them, and then address the glaring challenges that you have. When you regularly self-reflect, you can address what you reflected upon as you go. So if you have something that shows up as, this is becoming a problem for me, you can begin to address that. How about, you know what? I found a lot of success lately doing this. You can begin to accentuate that and do more of it. So you got to learn self-reflection. Now, let me, if I have your attention, please. Are you listening? No, really, pay attention. Lean in. Listen. Look at the screen. See me on your video there. You ready? You also have to work on active listening, not situational listening, not convenient listening, not rebuttal listening, but actively listening. What does that mean? That means to simply engage in the speaker who you are the audience for. If it's a team member, give them your full attention. Put your mobile device down. Stop scrolling email. Stop doing 3 or 4 things. Stop, look a person in the eye, engage with your eyes and your ears, and pay full attention. When you do that, people will communicate with you more regularly and more freely, and you will get a full picture. Stop halfway listening, because a halfway listener can only give a halfway answer. Now, listen. Now, as a part of my awareness, I am a very rapid listener. And so what happens is there are, on occasion, as I grade myself on the curve, on occasion, I'm going to stop listening too soon. So I'll have a premature cutoff because I listen quickly. And as I listen quickly, that means I draw a conclusion quickly. Well, when you do that without getting the whole picture and actively listening, you're going to give bad information or wrong answers or have a wrong perspective. And we don't want that, my friends. So let's be active listeners. And then when you're doing either of these, right? Well, here's the thing. I'm going to say a word, and I say this word often, and it's often taken in the wrong way. It's often considered negative whenever I say it. It is not a negative. This is a good thing. You have to seek feedback. Seek feedback. Feedback does not mean, it's another word where I say criticism, right? We don't like that word. Well, Feedback and constructive criticism, while they may not feel good, they're better. They will help you. If you will allow someone the space, they can tell you how this landed. I have many times where I've had an intent or had no intent and just kind of threw something out there. And the way I threw it out there, because I am a very direct communicator, it didn't land well. And someone will come to me and say, I know what you meant to say, and I know what you said, and I understand that you didn't mean for this to come out, but it was received in this way. Without feedback, I cannot develop emotional intelligence, because what I don't want is the unintended negative consequence. I don't want a consequence to come my way that's unintended and negative. Listen, I cannot believe it. We are already out of time. Oh my goodness. So we're talking about emotional intelligence, the leadership advantage. What is emotional intelligence? It's self-awareness, self-regulation, social skills, and empathy. Self-awareness is critical. Empathy and decision-making in leadership are necessary. And those who have a high emotional intelligence are 60% more effective in motivating their teams. Understand the correlation between emotional intelligence and leadership effectiveness. 90% of top performers have a high emotional intelligence. And then finally, develop new strategies to enhance your emotional intelligence. Regular self-reflection, active listening, and seeking feedback. And you, my friends, will grow to the next level in leadership. Oh my goodness. This has been so fun with you. I'm sorry I'm out of time. My goodness. Listen, you have been listening to Speaking with One Voice with your host, the coach, Rodney Payne. As always, make sure you are liking and subscribing and following on every platform. You can find us at Rodney R. Payne. Go to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe there so that you can have that notification when a new episode drops so that you can get it. Also, we have a very special deal right now for strategic planning for your organization that will take you through the end of the first quarter and the rest of the year. Make sure that you reach out to us, DM us on any of our platforms and just say strategy, and we'll reach back out to you. Also, if you'd like for us to come in and share with you, I talked about DISC assessments and do a DISC workshop. We have those available as well. And I'd love to get with you and or your leadership team. Simply, we're just trying to be here to serve you and add value to you and your team. We take that as a privilege and we take it very seriously. And remember, we here at One Voice Leadership, we appreciate you. Speaking with One Voice is all about you. My friends, that's all for my time. Until next time, you've been listening to Speaking with One Voice with your host, the coach, Rodney Payne. Until next time, my friends, let's keep growing together.
You've been listening to Speaking with One Voice. Please remember to follow Rodney Payne on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Rodney R. Payne. We'd love to hear from you and get your feedback, so please feel free to leave us comments. And if you would, rate and subscribe to the podcast, we'd appreciate that as well. Don't forget to set up for notifications so you can get the latest updates and social media posts and get new podcasts when they're released. As always, use the hashtag Speaking with One Voice or simply SWOV on any of your social media posts. On behalf of Rodney Payne, thanks again for listening to Speaking